It's a bite-sized vlog this time, and boy, what a bite size I took. Jeez. The movie I saw is none other than, what was it? Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. This is a movie that I know it came out I think last month, 3 weeks. I don't exactly remember, but it was something. It was a movie that I was interested to go, but I didn't give myself the time to watch it. But I kept hearing people, saying that, oh, this is some movie or something like that. I didn't try to watch the reviews because I thought that I didn't want it to spoil myself. But some little corners I began to hear saying that, hey, this movie's good. This is a good movie. So I was kind of like flipping my coin to see if either I watched that or The Northman, which is another one that I was interested with. But I decided to finally go on and watch this one. And man, you know what? I just love it. I came out loving this movie, and honestly, it has its flaws here and there, but I'm not gonna deny that I enjoy it. I enjoy the energy, some of the crazy stuff that it is. Probably this is kind of like the weirdest movie there is. I'm not exactly gonna say that this is probably the best of the year, considering that we're only halfway through this year, and kind of makes me kind of regret saying that, man, I wish I could have seen this movie earlier. I decided to watch it, and while I could have made one of my regular vlogs, I think that it would have been better that in order for not spoiling too much this movie, I had to make it kind of like a bite size. Even thought I might spoil some things and kind of like minor things maybe, but this is an experience that you have to see to believe. I'll give it my best just in case. Even though at that point, I think many people could have seen it, but let's just go with one more guy who's gonna probably persuade you to at least give this movie a try. So, what this movie is about? It's an A24 film movie directed by the guy who made Swiss Army Man. He was called Daniels, because this is kind of like my name. I never saw Swiss Army Man, but I heard that the plot is ludicrous enough. I'll leave it by that, just in case. But okay, the story is stars Michelle Yeoh. She played this woman named Evelyn. She is she's American Chinese immigrant. She's a Chinese immigrant. She's working in America. She's married to this guy who he's played by Ki Hugh Kwan. You mostly know him as Short Round from Indiana Jones and then the Temple of Doom. Now grown up. Oh yeah, and the inventor kid from Goonies. And she also, the character is basically this immigrant. It has a rundown laundromat of a job that is going, poorly. She has tax problems. She's having marital problems because they're going through they're kind of in the version of divorce. She also had to deal, with her, taking care of her father, and also she has a daughter that they can communicate well, mostly because she's kind of not sure because she is dating another girl, homosexuality, and also she has to go, she's facing, the tax audition, and she has to deal with the auditor, with this woman played by Jamie Lee Curtis. So basically she's kind of like in the dumps, kind of like in a very stressful moment of her life, until at that moment some kind of personality from another dimension kind of possesses her husband, which is kind of transforming him into a cool guy, and he's like, shh, I'm your husband from another dimension, from another world, and so I'm here to tell you that I think you are the perfect person to save the world from this cosmic entity that is gonna bring chaos to all the multiverses and all these things. And she's like, what? And honestly, I could make a whole synopsis out of it, but this is just kind of like just the beginning, because the whole thing then it starts out, it gets crazy. It gets crazier and crazier and crazier. But most crazy is that the whole thing kind of builds up kind of like this wacky rules about the multiverse. And funnily enough, it's been now a week since I saw Doctor Strange into the multiverse of madness, and let me tell you that this one does a much better multiverse of madness thematic movie than Doctor Strange itself. Oh, sorry, I forgot I had my fans on. But anyway, I think I like that movie even better than the Doctor Strange one. And don't get me wrong. I like the Doctor Strange movie, except for the kids. But this one kind of make it better. It was almost like watching a crazy pitch for a Rick and Morty episode. Because here's the thing. The whole thing plays out, that there is this cosmic energy, and technically this guy from an alpha universe, he comes to how can I say, to this own universe because he thinks that she's kind of like the perfect character to save the world from this cosmic entity that I'm not gonna exactly reveal what it is, but basically this villain, it can do anything, whatever it wants. It has a nihilistic approach. It cannot be easily reasoned, but basically it just wants to turn the whole world into nothing, into a black hole that is shaped like a donut. And of course, here's when the multiverse thing comes to play. What happens is that you don't go travel from one universe to another. No, technically they kind of invented a kind of like a machine that it transports your subconscious into that. Apparently, you have to fulfill some weird conditions in order to kind of line up your thoughts into that multiverse. Yeah, and then with that you acquire those memories and actions and ability from that. So let me put it like an example. Like for example, the first thing, this machine that it kind of looks like some kind of like a futuristic earplugs. They put it there, and then kind of like some Matrix guy, they just say that, okay, you gotta, let's for example, eat a lipstick, and then you're gonna that way you can access the thoughts of another world with a possibility in which what will happen is this guy if that version of you became a karate master. So basically that's what happened. And all these and technically this character during this, it's weird, let's say, that it begins to explore all these possibilities and get flashback of all these of this alternate worlds, alternate universes, and alternate possibilities of what will have happened if she chose kind of like a new perspective in life. Like for example, what will happen if she never married? She married her husband, and she decided to become a martial art actress, and all she has to do is saying Jamie Lee Curtis, "I love you," and all these things. And then as the movie progresses, those conditions become weirder and weirder and weirder. I'm not gonna exactly say some of them, but some of them gets very disgusting. Some of them involve paper cuts that cringe me because I don't like it, because it remind me of the times I got cut in Japan a lot of times with paper. And I kid you not, one of those conditions, it also involved butt plugs. I'm not kidding. Butt plugs. It's crazy, I tell you. And yeah, you might find some plot holes. Like for example, one of the biggest plot holes that comes into my mind is that how do you transport that device? And if you're from another dimension, from another world, another future, and all these things, did you construct the machine in that universe and all these things? So yeah. That's technically what it is. Okay, going out a little bit fast. The acting is really good, I'll say. Michelle Yeoh actually holds up the movie. Funny enough, that this movie it's heard that I heard that it was supposed to be a Jackie Chan movie, which kind of makes me sad considering that I love Jackie Chan. She even kind of teased him by saying, "Hey, you're lost." And boy, it is lost indeed. But come to think of it, considering the material that the movie has and some of the heartfelt elements that it later shows, I think Michelle Yeoh was the perfect casting for this one. And we also have, what was it, Stephanie Hsu playing the daughter named Joy. And she does a good job, I'll say. That there's kind of like a restrained relationship with her and the mother by many different reasons. I'm not gonna go tell you it exactly because it will spoil too much the movie, but it does well. Kei-Hugh Kwan, who is kind of like the husband, who he's very kind, but he's kind of like meek, a little bit weak-willed, and he loves his wife, but he also has, kind of like his problems. He thinks that he failed her and all these things. But there's some times in which he kind of switches switches personality because the alpha multiverse guy kind of takes over with him to make him more like a badass. And boy, that he really does it. But the funny thing is that the way he talks and the way he acts, not insulting the guy, but which kind of make me laugh, is that he kind of remind me of kind of like a Chinese version of Eddie Deason. I don't know, is it because he's like cranky like this or something like that. There are other actors there. That Jamie Lee Curtis also is there. She does a great job. She's preparing for the new Halloween movie, Halloween Ends. She does a nice job. Okay. Also, there's some special effects, and they're great, I'll say. It takes better. It takes kind of like a better approach to the term of multiverse compared to, Doctor Strange. Although both of them, I'll give them credit that they do in their own different ways. Also, I did like that there is martial art choreography. That there's some moments that you can see some CGI and some stunt work, but mostly the main cast, they do really well under martial artists. Michelle Yeoh, of course, she does has experience with martial arts film, and she really proves that. There's some great choreography. Probably my favorites are involving what was it again? Kei-Hugh Kwan fighting a bodyguard with a fanny pack. And believe it or not, there's also a battle that their weapon it is none other than using a small dog and a leash, and they swing the dog like it's a freaking morning star. That's just cruel, but at the same time hilarious. And the multiverse, you're not gonna stuck, with this world that, for example, they're kind of like martial arts. You're gonna get also snippets of other versions of the multiverse. First, it starts out, bland, but then you're gonna find out kind of like worlds that probably they fell in love with it and they stick with it. Like, although some of them are kind of weird. One of them was kind of like a multiverse in which it has hands that are sausages. That's disgusting, but at the same time, but it's kind of weird. You're gonna see kind of like snippets here and there that they just kind of flashback. Some of them they kind of stays there. One of them, of course, involve I'm not gonna reveal exactly the whole thing, but it's memeable. That it kind of shows up almost at the end of the movie. But I will tell you that one of the weirdest ones is there's a moment in which they make reference to Pixar Ratatouille, but then they just say, oh, it's like the raccoon on the head, and it was like, what? The raccoon? It was a rat, as far as I can tell. But no, they did intentionally say that it's a raccoon because there is a world where where our main character is a hibachi cook, and she is rivalized. She has a rival, and that rival is apparently also doing ratatouille, but with a raccoon on his head, with a kind of like semi-bad CGI raccoon, but it's kind of like the same idea, but it's so weird. All this leads on, with a climax that is both emotional and it put the things together. I'll say. Despite all this weirdness, you can tell that there is some heart into it. If you kind of pay attention with all the ludicrous things that are happening, you feel for the characters. I was totally invested into it, even when weird things were kind of happening. I'll say. I mean, yeah, you have to, try to put your mind, in order and try to say that, okay, all these emotions are coming from a movie in which people are plugging their asses in order to get powers, or that in one universe you are just competing with a guy who has a raccoon that uses the ratatouille powers. Yeah, that's technically I'll say. I'm not trying to overhype this movie. I'll say maybe it's a little bit long, but it's interesting enough. I will say, to keep your attention. It's weird enough. It gives you kind of like imagery that it might not go away for a long while, but I absolutely had a lot of fun with this movie. And also the chemistry in this one is much better. And I know that if you probably see this movie, you're gonna get some Doctor Strange into the multiverse of madness vibes. But this one came out first. Maybe it was coincidence, but still, I dug this movie. So check it out. Everything, everywhere, all at once. It has some. It's weird, but at the same time, it's just madness. This is a true multiverse of madness.